members of the Colorado location, we just finished the World Day of the Sick Mass here in Colorado Springs with Bishop Golka, and the realization is probably striking all of us that Lent is just a week and a half away. And I wanted to offer some thoughts to help us prepare to make the most of the season of Lent. I think it's appropriate to consider the World Day of the Sick especially as kind of a primer for the real spirit of Lent. I hate Lent, but I love Lent because it's a time of getting back to the basics, when we're sort of called to simplify things, to refocus on what's most important, to really shut things out that distract us, and to really embrace the things that help us. But all of this, whatever we do for Lent, whatever sacrifices we take on, whatever new commitments we embrace, or whatever things we sort of give up, it really all has to be oriented to the spirit of Christ's self-offering to the Father. That's really what Lent is, to get us ready to participate in the Paschal mysteries of Jesus, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday. And all of that is, again, Jesus' self-offering to the Father. So, how do we make that practical? Think about whatever obstacles may be in our hearts, in our lives, that if we were to take a step back, we see manifesting in our attitudes and behaviors. What are the obstacles that prevent us from being generous, from being caring, from being selfless? If we sort of see that we've got a real hard time being generous with ourselves, or that certain people rub us the wrong way, or there are things that kind of make us turn inwards, whatever it may be, really maybe invite the Lord into that to consider, is there something here in that I perhaps should focus on during Lent? If there's some way that I can kind of be turned outwards, or again, make myself a self-offering to the Father through the Son. In certain practical ways, that's what penance is about. Certainly sort of smoothing out the rough edges of our lives, but also, because the cross is the means of our salvation, joining our lives more intentionally to Jesus on the cross. And thus our penance becomes a way that we participate in Jesus' work of redemption. So, not to overcomplicate it, but to really pay attention to those areas that, one, may be obstacles in our lives to growth in charity, growth in faith, growth in hope. But then to see also, if there may not be obvious ways, what are ways that we can take on to sort of offer ourselves, deliver ourselves up? Recently, when Bishop Andrew Cousins gave a reflection to the clergy of the diocese for the Eucharistic revival, he gave a beautiful image for us, especially as priests, but it's possible for all the faithful to do this in Mass. The Eucharist is the presence of the cross in the world, and that at Mass we are joined to Jesus' own self-offering in the supreme, unsurpassed way on Calvary, made present in the Mass. And so to think about how we can unite our lives to the Mass and put ourselves, our weaknesses, our offerings on the paten, in the chalice, offer it to the Father with Jesus. In this way, even the smallest things are offerings, ways that we self-offer, give ourselves over to that sacrifice with Jesus. And this may not necessarily be something we're used to, but what a great practice during Lent. Go to Mass with this intention. How can I put myself, my weaknesses, especially my sins, those obstacles in the paten, and give them to God? Father John Riccardo up in Detroit says, one of the most simple but impactful prayers, God, I can't, you can, so please do. And this is a wonderful way to do just that. We don't rely on ourselves. We don't become more proud by the end of Lent. We become more humbled, more poor in spirit, and thus more open to the graces God wants to give us. Regardless of our practice, I hope that we spend some time thinking about it up until Ash Wednesday, which again is just a short time away, to really come up with a bit of a game plan, if you will. What is the Lord asking me to do during this Lent? What kind of Lent does He want? He may not care about if we give up chocolate or not. He may not care about what our media habits are, but I think He may. But rather, again, asking the Lord what He wants out of this Lent for us. So just some thoughts. Hopefully there's something there that's helpful. Thank you for everything you do in serving our Lords, the sick and the poor. God bless you, and have a blessed Lent.